Our lunchroom staff. This is the area that I share, your concern, and want to share with you some of the challenges that I was made aware of. Specifically yesterday, I started to find out a lot more about the situation and the hardships the lunchroom is going through. So, for the past 6 weeks, the lunchroom has been receiving incomplete or limited orders from their supplier. So CPS, our lunchroom is, Aramark is the one in charge of our lunch services, but they use Cisco to transport all of the goods and the orders to the school. As you may or may not know, back at the beginning of the school year, about 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, there was a strike by Cisco, and then they decided that schools and prisons were not going to be impacted. They're going to continue with deliveries, and then they resolved their issues, and that's over with. But we also do know that there are nationwide shortages in a lot of different things. We know there's infrastructure challenges with trying to get things across states and moving supplies. There's no secret. It was on the news even last night that they expect things to get worse from here until January, until December, and it's going to get worse. Our lunchroom staff has a menu for the month that they are supposed to implement and provide for our students. They cannot offer the complete menu because the items that are provided, they cannot offer the complete menu the way CPS and Aramark say they should give to the students, because they're not receiving all the items they're ordering on their orders when they come in. So what they have to do is they'll put in all their numbers and they'll say, we need 10 boxes of this, 5 boxes of that, so on and so forth. Once they receive their order, they put in their order a week ahead, they meet that deadline. When they receive their order sometime during the week, it'll be zeroed out with no opportunity for them to go back and say, we need these things then if you don't have this. And if they knew those things were not there, they would not try to order them. So they can't give the menu the way it has been given to them in order to give the students the lunches that they deserve. So managers and the staff, they've been thinking about what can they do with what they receive. So if they order they ordered items and they get a limited order, they think about, okay, I can't do the, let's say, chili mac with lentils and whatever. We're going to have to do macaroni and cheese instead because we have this. Or we can't do the chicken sandwich because we don't have chicken, spicy chicken patties, so we have to do a grilled cheese. So they are taking it upon themselves to make sure the students have items from each food group the way they're supposed to. And managers have been working between schools to trade and negotiate supplies. So, for example, our school will call another school in the area and say, hey, do you have 3 cases of this? And they say, well, we do have this, do you have this? And they'll trade. Staff has been, they've had to buy at times their own supplies for cleaning and cooking. Our managers multiple times have had to buy their own soap out of their own pocket because they have not received the order of soap. They have had to buy the non-stick spray in order to offer the food offerings for our students so that it at least looks appealing or properly prepared. They had to borrow garbage bags from custodians. So even though we had Aramark and Sodexo and they should be working together, we figured the garbage bags are just school garbage bags. That's not the way it works. No. So they had to go to the custodians and say, we need to borrow some of your garbage bags. We don't have any this week. They would lend them the garbage bags when they would get the stock, or when they could, they would give it back to them in return. They're told there's items out there when they ask, but they just need to look. So what they're doing is that they're asking other schools what's available and trying to make it work, picking up the items themselves, however they can make it work for our kids. The shortages are slightly decreasing, but the challenges are still there. I reached out to 5 other schools, and I received responses from 4. And this is what the administrators sent to me, or administrators told me what their lunchroom managers said. One administrator said, yes, we've had many shortages. We've not been able to follow a menu since the beginning of the year. In fact, our lunch manager injured themselves during the first week of school and has been out since then. Yes, we are short on many supplies. A lunchroom manager said, it is all over CPS. Vendors do not have product to ship. I put in orders and get zeroed out a lot, especially breakfast products. Just have to be creative and hope for the best. Another administrator says, yes, we're having some problems, but not as major as yours. Our problems stem from Cisco being backed up. Another administrator said, our lunch manager shared the same information. They're having a difficult time getting food. As you can imagine, there's this stress is prevalent around the whole building. Every department is feeling the stress of our current situation. And you know, that stress, it permeates beyond just the individual, and it goes into, you know, other departments, other people, you know, but everybody's trying to put on their best face and try to be out there and try to be positive for the students and try to do as much as they can with the little they have. But you know, I reached out today to one of the top managers at Aramark, asking what is going on? How is this going to be addressed? I am concerned about not only what's going on now, but I'm concerned about what's going to happen in December and January if we're not looking for other sources now. They wrote back and they said they're going to have the next level up manager come and work with our lunchroom manager. Work with them closely to find out solutions to our challenges. And I had to respond back, I understand that, but this is not just a Steinmetz issue. This is a citywide issue. And when the other schools are suffering, they're going to come to us too, and the issue is going to continue. So we're going back and forth in some responses right now. You know, what I'm asking at the LSC is for your help in reaching out to these individuals. Let's set up meetings. Let's figure out how we can collaborate with them. And let's see what is going to happen, because this is not just a Steinmetz issue. This is an issue that impacts a lot of our schools. And I can tell you with certainty, I'm not going to throw these administrators under the bus. I reached out to them yesterday. But these administrators are some of the schools that are local, that are about the same size, and some a little bit further away. But we are all under this stress, and all of us need the advocacy. And so I know that over the next week or two, you know, I hope that as council we can come together and try to advocate and try to establish some of these conversations, because it's going to take collective voices saying enough is enough. We need some answers. We need this to be acknowledged, and we need to figure out what's going to happen. A lot of our kids, they depend on the nutrition from the school as their only source of meals, whether people want to believe that or not. Some of our kids, we know for a fact, come in the morning for breakfast, and they take lunch, and they'll stay for after school programs so they can get a snack, because that's all they will get. And this is not a criticism of their families or their situations, but it's the reality. And when we had students who were here picking up meals during COVID, we had students, multiple families, whatever, coming to pick up those meals on a regular basis because they needed it. That's what they had to supply their family. And the fact that our students they're getting what may be quote unquote adequate, but it's not good enough. And that's what concerns me, because adequate for some has a different meaning than adequate when you're sitting there eating that and you're a growing child and what you have in front of you is not enough to fill you or to make you feel satisfied for the rest of the day. And then when that happens, we do have other challenges. I'm not saying students are, you know, having conflict because they're hungry or, you know, but there are different things that happen. Moods change. People are upset. They're not satisfied. They're not proud. They feel different, and they can't concentrate on what's in front of them. There's a lot of SEL work that needs to be done. We're trying to address that. There's a lot of, you know, challenges that we need to address as far as staffing, and we're trying to address that. But when it comes to food and the basic necessities of our students, that is one thing that has to take priority, and we need our voices heard. So I've shared some of those emails with the LSC. It's been popping up all day, going back and forth, and I've been sharing it with them. And I think that we're going to be having some conversations very soon with other individuals.
Yeah, so, can I comment?
Oh, yeah.
So as you're doing the call to action, right? So I want to be clear that we got these emails today of the back and forth of food. It's not like we got them 6 weeks ago. So I think for us as Steinmetz, we have to worry about Steinmetz right now. So I make a proposal to the LSC members that it's via Zoom. We could participate in the next board meeting, which is October 27th. It's at 10:30, which means that we register on Monday, next week, Monday. We register. One of us could speak, right? And address what our concern is, right? Knowing, right, that is a concern for other schools in the area, but, right, like, let's put it in record in the board meeting, our concern, and then we could then, Cassandra's in the LSC and Mary Lyon, like, we could do outreach to the other LSCs and see where they're at. But if we wait, right, then that means that our kids are suffering in that process. So I'm more than willing to take a day off on the 27th of October, but means that we know how the dynamics work, right? I cannot just go, Vanessa, hey, right? I have to say Vanessa and my fellow council members and additional parents, right? So I'll go ahead and try to register us because we know that these registrations, because it's a citywide issue, many LSCs, organizations are trying to get in front of the board to address the issue. So let's try that. Then if not, the second step will be requesting a meeting, right, with the new CEO or someone, right, that could come out and hear us out. So I'll take that on, but I really need the commitment from the rest of the council members to stand with me, right? Because I know how to use my voice, but there's power in people, and I think that's what we need to show.
I will say, and I know Mr. Keeler raised his hand, but I will say that I will give credit where credit is due. Our new CEO has established something new, which is a weekly online meeting with administrators. Last week we had our second meeting. Tomorrow we have our third one, in which we get an opportunity to talk directly. And at these meetings, many issues about, different issues have been brought up, and he's actually gotten back and given us responses to some of the issues. Tomorrow, if there's that same opportunity, I am going to bring up this issue. I know that I've already captured the attention of some of the individuals who are in charge of Aramark and food services, but I will continue from my end to advocate and reach out to my network support and everyone that I can on my end. And hopefully, tomorrow we will see one of the Aramark managers here trying to problem solve. But I am requesting for a meeting with the leadership of Aramark and our lunchroom manager and some other stakeholders to figure out what is going on and what we can do about it. But it's important that we still have that advocacy from the LSC, because either hopefully we'll be at a point where we can say, thank you so much for addressing our concerns and this is great, or we have to say, hey, this has not been resolved. But one thing for sure is that we cannot lose opportunities to voice our concerns, because this will get progressively worse.
Yeah, and I would just say in those conversations too, it's good to show the dynamic, right, that you're not meeting with them alone, right? So if you need a member of the council, right, to sit with you and kind of be those pushers, right, let us know how we can help there as well, right? We know there's a different dynamic when the principal talks to the district, but a principal, a parent, and a teacher, there's just a lot of force on that. So I think maybe that approach too will help us with some of these issues. Yeah.
Yes, Madam Chair. I suggest that in our next meeting, that special meeting that we are going to have, that we could include this in the agenda as part of the discussions.
Well, the issue is that the board meeting's on Wednesday, right? So we need to go to the Board of Education on Wednesday. That special meeting is more to re-vote, right? For all the new members that we need on the table to make us an even stronger council and the items of voting for today. So I don't mind calling all kind of special meetings if we have issues, but I want to concentrate the next special meeting on that election and the voting of items that we need to vote on.
No, that's okay, but if we could include the new members into this discussion that we're having right now, I think it would be very important because we need as many council members involved as possible.
That's part of their role by being a council member. So they won't have a choice, but they have to get involved. So I see some are online, some are here present. That's a call to action for them, right? I think that we could include them, but we have to remember we have to follow the CPS policies, and we can't go with members that haven't been voted and then get hit by violating a law, right? So I am more than sure that they're going to be supportive to what they're hearing today. It's obvious, right, that there's issues. They're more than welcome to come to Wednesday with us. Yeah, of course, anybody could come, but we don't want to identify that's the council because there hasn't been an official vote yet. And then I get in trouble for breaking some type of law or something, taking matters into my hands.
And they could identify as being a Steinmetz parent, but can identify as being
for sure, right.
A council member.
So we'll definitely include them. I have their phone numbers and they're here present and some are online. So please, right, if you're available, you know, it's inconvenience too, right? These meetings are on a Thursday at 10:30 where you're probably working or doing something to survive, right? We just have to take off that day and make it a commitment to support, right? What we're hearing and seeing here in the building. So we could address all those items. So thank you.
I will say, I don't know if we want to break protocol, but Mr. Dowling has his hand raised, one of our staff members. But I know this is not an official LSC meeting, so I don't know if you wanna.
I mean, bring on, he's gonna bring another problem, we might as well know it so that we could address it, right? So, Mr. Dowling?
No, it's still on the same topic. I that's the main reason like I joined the session today is just the concern about the food, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how we get the kids more food or adequate food, but you know, yesterday and again, I've heard all the Mr. Jaramillo speak of all the difficulty in obtaining just food to be able to serve the kids, but it was really troubling to me the other day, you know, and because of testing that we just couldn't fit enough kids in the lunchroom. So many kids had to be provided a sack lunch in the classrooms, and that sack lunch consisted of essentially what was a celery stick, a teeny tiny bag of raisins, a teeny tiny yogurt, and 4 saltine crackers. And that was lunch. That wasn't a snack. That was lunch. And I overheard a couple girls in my strength training class today talking about, you know, the test the other day, and they said, you know, all we got was some crackers and a yogurt. And, you know, I mean, I was upset about that to the point where I did something I know I shouldn't have done, especially for the reasons and trying to see the group of kids I had get an actual legitimate meal. But I mean, that's just something in today's day and age that shouldn't happen. And again, it's a concern. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I think that's, you know, why I tuned in today more than anything is, I mean, do we just talk to counsel people? I mean, is that the best thing that we can do, or is there some other action item that we can do to try to make sure something like that doesn't happen?
So, Mr. Darling, I just texted you the picture that I got from parents, right? So we're not we know there's an issue, right? So the first approach that we could take, first and foremost, we need to hear it, right? And the problem is not this week. It's been weeks, right? So that's frustrating because I wish we could have dealt with it 4 weeks back and not wait till week 6, right? So that means that we need to communicate, right? If we know there's issues and the principal or the council doesn't know, it needs to be communicated, right? Because the issue talking to parents didn't start this week, right? It's been here. So that's one thing that I advise to teachers, parents, all of us. We need to communicate. If we see an issue, let the principal know, let the administration know. The administration then brings it to the council, and like we're doing today, then we strategize, right? Do we go to the board? So the reason why the first thing we think about is going to the board, because my frustration is you wanted to open schools, but you weren't ready, right? And now the kids have consequences, and these are the consequences, right? So that's the presentation that we're gonna give, right? You open school, kids are not getting lunches, we have no staffing, right? Because nowadays people don't want to work, right? So there needed to be a plan that they created, not us, that the district created, so that we felt the support. Because now the council feels unsupported, the admin feels unsupported, and then communities at risk. So you're creating traumas and tensions in our schools and community that shouldn't exist, right? So I challenge you, Mr. Dowling, to stand with me on Wednesday in that board meeting, right? And I could say proudly, right? I'm here as a parent, as a pissed off parent, right? And I'm here with teachers. I'm here with my community rep, Jose, right? Like that is what we have to do, right? And, I'm a person that I love to call out people with love, right? I'm letting you know, and we want a solution, right? So I'm not going to fight, because you fight, then you don't get nothing in return either, right? But we have to be solid, right? We have to show that we know how to work in unity here at Steinmetz, and what we want for our kids, we're going to be firm about it. Like we did for the fields, like we did for, STEAM program, all of that.
Do you remember how many years ago when we got together as a school community?
Because it was a drumstick.
We called in food services
because
the portions that we were giving to the kids were not enough. And as a result, they made improvements to our lunchroom.
Yeah.
They brought in some more options. They brought in salads and different things. Unfortunately, this year, those things are not there. And we need to advocate again. We need to bring them back and say what is going on.
Exactly. So thank you, Mr. Dunn. I hope that I answer your question, right? Did I or not?
No, and I appreciate that, and it's just, and I know you very well, for the last several years. I know you're always working on doing something, and I appreciate that. And I guess my frustration lies in, you just asked me about Wednesday. Well, I can tell you Monday I have a dentist appointment. Tuesday I'm having a little banquet party, whatever you want to call it, for my girls' flag football team. Wednesday and Thursday I have tryouts for basketball. And, like today I had tryouts, and then I'm listening to this meeting now. It's like, it's the same people that are always volunteering, always doing everything. And I would do Wednesday too. I won't be able to, because, I have other commitments to our kids. And it's just like, the only time you can find time is when you have to let your kids down or something like that, it seems like, or to get other people involved and other people volunteering to do stuff. And unfortunately, it seems like the same people over and over again are the ones that are always doing the heavy lifting. But I mean, that's a separate frustration. But, I thank you for, all the commitment you have to the school and everybody else there, because you all are the ones that are doing the heavy lifting all the time. So again, that's just a frustration I wanted to air out. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great point, right? I thank you, right? Because you are always around too. But we're here to support each other. We will address this together with you, Mr. Jaramillo. We know how to do it. We know what we need to do. Let's start with trying to get in October 27, right? With those that could be present, and then let's start there. And if we have to go, move ourselves to the higher, then we do what we got to do. But we got to find a solution.
And I appreciate it, and thank you for, I trust and I know this LSC when they're ready to answer that call to action. There's no stopping this LSC, and I know that we'll get this resolved one way or another, so that our students get what they need. In regards to the comment of why is this happening now at week 6? I'll be honest. Reaching out to some other administrators. Our lunchroom staff are the most underpaid, undervalued, most dedicated employees across multiple schools who just give and give and give and will do it quietly and not say a word. Not because necessarily, let's say, they're scared or anything like that. It's just out of simple love that they have for kids, making sure that they give them something that's presentable. Our lunchroom manager was basically almost in tears, and explaining to me all the frustration, showing me the documents. And when I asked other administrators, they had to go after lunchroom managers because they did not know this was happening. Why? Because our lunchroom managers and staff are doing whatever they can to make it happen, to have something presentable for the kids on a regular basis. When you hear the term by any means necessary, that is exactly what they're doing. They are going out of their way, paying out of their pocket, arranging with other schools, bartering, negotiating, whatever they can do to make things happen. And unfortunately, they are carrying the brunt of this frustration, and our students as well. So that's where we're at. I will keep the council updated if there are any changes, the conversations, like the Dowling said. I think the last email I got was at 3:30, 4 o'clock. So they haven't even seen that yet. I haven't had a chance to forward it. So we're going back and forth, and I'm trying to get a meeting set up so they can come out to the school and see for themselves what is happening and what we have in supply and what the paperwork shows of all the orders that have been zeroed out without either replacing, giving a substitution, or giving an opportunity to replace those items.